October 1854. Buried alive, Matilda said again, her voice low. That's what she said. I heard her true. Although she was 1 year older than I spent many of my waking hours in Matilda's company, particularly when I found myself confined to my room as I was today. We were standing at my window and Matilda was pointing toward the harbor. Ma said the man was diseased, and when he pled for help, the men who answered only dug a hole in the earth and pushed him in. What type of person does it take to do such a thing? How could others participate in good conscience? Ma said no such thing, I told her, following her finger with my eyes. I tried to see through the fog rolling off the water. She did, but if you ask her about it, I am sure she would deny speaking the words. But she told Pa when he returned home from work, not more than 20 minutes ago. I came to you straight away. I tried not to smile, for I knew Matilda only spun such a tale in order to boost my spirits, but the corners of my mouth rose nonetheless, and she smacked me on the shoulder. Now you're mocking me. She frowned and turned away from the window. Where did you say this happened? She didn't answer, staring only at the far wall. Matilda, where did this occur? With a deep sigh, she returned her gaze to the window. At the cemetery behind St. John Baptist Church. She said they buried him amongst the suicide graves. Suicide graves? Matilda rolled her eyes. I've told you about them before. They're hidden as the far end of the cemetery, just beyond the cemetery wall, in constant shade. Anyone who takes their own life is buried there. They are also buried thieves and criminals and the like there too. There are few markers or crypts, mostly raw earth covering hundreds of graves. It's not consecrated either. Those buried there will never know peace. They spend eternity damned. So why bury a sick man there? You mean why bury this particular sick man alive there? If they buried him alive, he was in fact murdered, I said. He would be entitled to interment as anyone else within blessed earth. You can't hide a body among the common graves, but bury him among suicides, and he will never be found. A coughing fit came upon me then, and I turned my head away until it dispelled, then said, If Ma knows this, she would tell the authorities. She would make it right. Maybe the authorities already know, and they simply don't care. One less sick man walking the streets may not be of concern. What did Pa say of all this? I asked her. Matilda crossed the small room to my bed and settled down on the corner, her finger twirling around her long blonde locks. At first he was silent, considering the story. Then he said, Things are even worse in Dublin, before returning to the newspaper, giving it not another word. Uncle Edward's eyes fluttered to mine, then returned to Ma. We must lessen the tainted blood. Only then will his body find the strength to fight the infection and begin to heal. Ma was shaking her head. The last time only worsened his condition. Bloodletting is the only treatment called for by such a case. I tried to break free of their hold and nearly did, for they were distracted by the discussion and had lessened their grip. All but Thornley, who squeezed my arm with such a force at my attempt, I thought his fingers would break the skin. He frowned at me while mouthing, No. The blackness slipped over me, and I fought to retain consciousness. They continued to speak, but the words became foreign to me, a language I did not speak. Then my body began to shake with a chill so great I felt as if I had plunged into a frozen lake. From the corner of my eye, I watched Pa nod his head. Uncle Edward removed his glasses, wiped them on his shirt, and then returned them to the bridge of his nose. He opened his bag, a satchel of the finest brown English leather, and removed a small white jar with tiny holes in the top. He pried away the lid. The rubber stopped, making a popping noise as he did, and placed the top to the side, retrieving a pair of large metal forceps from his bag. I tried to squirm again, but the strength had left me. I watched as he dipped the forceps into the jar and pulled out a large leech, nearly 3 inches long. It wiggled between the forceps, its body twisting this way and that, as Uncle Edward carefully lowered the creature to my foot. Just before the leech disappeared from sight, I saw the jaws of the sucker open and close with appetite as it neared my flesh. Ma looked away, her eyes pinched tightly shut, and Pa grew pale, but watched on as Uncle Edward placed the leech on my foot. I was cold, and the leech was colder still, nearly as cold as the metal of Uncle Edward's stethoscope. Imagine the tiny mouth fastening itself into my skin, rows of sharp little teeth gnawing at my flesh as the leech burrowed deep and began to feast on my blood. I could see it begin to grow larger as it engorged on my essence. I tried to erase such thoughts from my mind when I saw Uncle Edward's hand return with another one, this one meant for my shoulder, then another after that, and another after that. I closed my eyes in hopes of finding the dark grave of sleep.